I have been shying away from conversations about my Jamaican heritage and conversation about my Canadian identity because I've had a lot of Canadians find me from hashtagging Canadian. And unfortunately, the comment section hasn't been that great. I've had friends on this app telling me that they've deleted their comments because people have been nasty to them. I've had to block a few people. I've had to make videos telling people to cut things out. I've had to be deleting comments, and I still haven't gotten through all the stuff you guys have left. And some of the stuff does make me want to pop up on here and talk. And so I have to give the disclaimers now. I can't believe this because my other account has almost 1,500 people following. And I've never had behavior like this. So I don't know what's happening here. Must be something in the water. I don't know. But I'm going to clarify for you guys here. I was having a conversation about my Jamaican heritage and how people from Jamaica don't see me as Jamaican. But when I don't claim that identity, people tend to identify me with that heritage. So that's the source of this conversation. That said, I'm going to read this guy's comment. I don't want this to be like the situation with Kevin. And Kevin and I are done talking. But y'all went over to Kevin and y'all calling him a racist, calling him a POS, calling him all sorts of names. Everything but a child of God. I don't want you doing this with Gary. Okay? If I see anybody going back to his comment to start saying things crazy to him, I'm just going to block you. And your comment will just be gone. Okay? Because I do not have time to wake up to hundreds of comments of you attacking one person. It's not going to happen. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm laying down the law here. Because the way I do videos on this app is I find a comment that makes me think. I take that comment and I use it to go to as a jump off point for my thoughts. If you people don't want the risk of me using your comments for a video, feel free to DM me, say something more than hi. I usually do open up my DMs and answer people as they come. But don't be weird, please. But yeah, so I've been partially been busy and partially been nervous about continuing the conversation because some of you may not have home training and are just acting a little crazy. Remember, it's the internet. Let's simmer down. If you want to have a conversation and talk about the thoughts, feel free to have those thoughts in the comment section. Let's try not to drag this person. I'm assuming he's Jamaican, given that I was talking about my Jamaican heritage in that video. So let's have the combo. Okay, so he says, you are Jamaican. What would you call a Chinese, presumably person, that is born in Canada, or an Italian that is born in Canada? Okay, so Gary, I think that the structure of Canadian and Jamaican identity is really different, right? Even in Jamaican culture, your point, I know a lot of people have been coming to the comments and they've been very kind, telling me, oh, you're Jamaican, you're one of us. I think somebody said something like, a goat born in a fish market is still a goat, or something to that effect I'd read. And, it's very kind of you to say these things. I didn't make those videos to get Jamaican people to call me Jamaican. Like, that wasn't the point. I guess I was just thinking how interesting it is that people will, in the one hand, if I had come up to them and said, I'm Jamaican, and then they started to quiz me on whether or not I was born there, whether or not I was raised there, whether or not I have citizenship, where are my ties to the island? And once they would have found out that, oh, it's just your parents and my older brother who have citizenship, the rest of us don't. And that I really haven't been there that much. I barely speak patois. I understand more than I speak. Then it would have been like, oh, well, you're not really one of us because you don't really have what it is that makes us Jamaican. You don't really have the ties to the culture or the lived experiences and things like that, right? However, in Canada, it's different, right? So in Canada, essentially Canada is a mosaic. I know people have been saying in the comments that we're a melting pot. I think melting pot is the analogy that the United States uses, where everybody comes and they just get filtered into an American lens and they all have to take on a specific identity, a specific way of being and doing, embracing similar values. You know, they don't have to, but it would make them seem more American if they embrace the same kind of sports Americans care about and the same kind of cultural practices that they participate in. But in Canada, it's more of a mosaic. You know, everybody's here, everybody's welcome. We all accept that even though ethnically speaking, we're different and we all come from a different way of being. And that's not to say Jamaica's not ethnically diverse, it is. But most people don't think of people as Jamaican outside of the nation. Most people identify Jamaicans based on them being black, right? But obviously, this motto is out of many one people, right? There's white Jamaicans, Asian Jamaicans, brown Jamaicans, black Jamaicans, the works, right? But I think in Canada, it's really well accepted here that, you know, when you're Canadian, doesn't matter, you could be of Chinese origin, you could be of Italian origin, you're still Canadian. And people will, for the most part, people will kind of just welcome you under that identity. I will say though, the difference, and I guess I'm stepping into a slightly unfamiliar territory here. If you are a Chinese Canadian, if you are an Italian Canadian, I actually would love to hear your opinion under the comment section. But from what I understand and from what I've observed as an outsider, I would say that the Chinese community accepts people who are Chinese ethnically. Even some of them that are half Chinese. I mean, if you're half Chinese, half black, that might be an issue. But I do find, you know, half white, half Chinese, they tend to be accepted within the Chinese community. Italians, especially, I can't speak for the mixed race Italians, but the full-blooded Italians, they tend to be accepted within the community. That said, there might be some issues with, you know, how much of that culture you can claim, given the fact that you may not have been born and raised there. But if you were to say, I am this culture, and, you know, you're ethnically fully of that culture, and maybe you're just once or twice removed, maybe people would be more willing to see you and accept you in that. I guess my issue is that I find in the black community, we're very loud about our disagreements, right? Of course, there's lots of fractures and divisions within the Asian community, within the white community or the dark white community. I'm not getting into their politics, but I find that when they're facing the world, it's a very united front. But with the black community as a whole, we're very clear about our issues, our fractures, our divisions. Like, I could just be walking up to somebody and we'll be standing in a crowd of people, and as soon as we start the conversation, they're very quick to shut it down. Oh yeah, you're not Jamaican because you weren't born and raised there. Doesn't matter if there's outsiders around, they're gonna let you know. You know, they're gonna let you know. And, you know, again, it's very kind of you all to come on here and try to affirm my Jamaicanness, but for me, even if I was to go and get Jamaican citizenship, I would never call myself a Jamaican. I wouldn't. I'm always going to be Canadian. You know, I don't want to fight for, I don't want to claim something that I have to fight for. You know, I guess I'm a lover, not a fighter, I guess. I don't want to have to fight for my place to be somewhere. I just want to be somewhere where I can just be welcome. And yeah, that's all, I guess. But yeah, so in Canada, it's a little bit different. We kind of go based off of nationality, not ethnicity. Whereas in Jamaica, ethnicity might be more of a factor, but it's more important if you were born there and if you were raised there. Versus in Canada, you could get citizenship yesterday and people will automatically call you Canadian because you have gone through the process of becoming Canadian. Doesn't matter if you weren't born and raised there, you know. Maybe somebody has Canadian parents and got citizenship and they've lived abroad their whole lives. The fact that you have the citizenship, you're still Canadian, you know. It's a wider umbrella, or maybe it's just a different one. So yeah, those are my thoughts.